So what we'll be discussing today, we'll be discussing about AWS. Basically, what is AWS? Why most of the companies uses AWS, right? What is the advantage with AWS? Like, so they are, Amazon is a different. Amazon is a, like a e-commerce platform. You can order purchase items from Amazon. They'll deliver all that kind of stuff. That's a different story. But AWS is web services. Amazon Web Services. What it does, like what they do, basically what kind of services that they provide. So they do provide most of the services like other companies. They do have a lot of products like Amazon Web Services, like they do stuffing as well. They do provide like a consulting services as well. But what is this cloud? Like how this cloud, most of the companies purchasing like adapting this cloud. So what exactly the cloud is, right? So anybody have any idea about data centers by any chance? Data centers like a physical virtual machines. So when you guys went to college, right? When you guys went to school, you guys will be given like a system, right? Computer, like a box, the hardware, like a big monitor computer, right? PC, and those PCs, like if you go to the computer science lab, or if you go to any computer programming lab, you will see like a 60 systems. They're connected through a single wire, specific wire. That wire will be connected to a data center room. Any idea?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So the data center, that is the place where the company store their data, and that is the place where they can provision the virtual machines, basically the virtual servers, physical servers. They provision the servers and they deploy the applications. Deployment is nothing but they are hosting the applications on those data centers, right? And they do use that the data center. For example, let's say this is the data center of each company. Let's take an example of a specific company. What company we were talking about? We were discussing about Wells Fargo, for example. Let's have Wells Fargo. Okay, Wells Fargo have a data center somewhere else, for example, North Carolina. Let's take it North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay, they have a data center. They bought like a for college, just for 60-70 systems, like a very small systems, and nobody can use outside that college. Those are just for projects. It's okay, you have a small data center, like maybe which suits inside your kitchen or inside your storeroom. Very small is fine. But how about the company? Let's say Wells Fargo company, they do have a customers across the globe, right? For example, across the United States, they have millions of customers. So their systems will be accessible throughout the country and 24/7, 365 days. Even visitors, they travel across the globe and they would want to transfer money. They would want to use their applications, right? Basically. But that's a huge, like a huge. So they need huge data center with 24/7 online access. And whenever somebody write, like uploading data, applying for account, opening an account, credit card, all that kind of stuff should be stored, right? Like they should store a PII, personal identification information, all that kind of stuff, right? That's a data. Application is nothing but data. Okay, and we will have you guys can stop me at any moment if you don't understand. Okay, and like I said before, we will have a application web server, and we'll have application server, and we'll have a database, right? Okay, let's say we will enter all details in the sense first name, last name, all that kind of stuff. This is a web server, this is a web application. right? And this web application, there is a mediator between this web application to the database. Basically, database in the sense, let's say you are logging in, right? For example, you are logging in through website and you put your username and a password. That username and password should be validated, right? This is the guy who is taking care of that. Actually, this is the guy who sends that username and a password to this database, and this is the application server is the main guy. This guy validate, like, okay, they get the response, okay, and send those response back to this web server, and this web server will be validating, okay, this is the right username and a password, he can get access, things like that. So this Wells Fargo data center, they host web applications, the web servers, for example, like application servers, database servers, all they are like a physical boxes. Okay, physical servers basically, and they can host virtual servers as well. Let's say, for example, they have virtual servers as well, right? And this data center is in North Carolina, Charlotte, and some customers, they travel to Singapore, for example, somewhere in Singapore. Okay, they would want to access this application to transfer money. They're renting a boat, or they would want to use their Wells Fargo card to pay for those guys. Okay, to pay for those guys. And when the request, right? When the request, okay, let me log into this box, and that request should go all the way back to North Carolina data center, and should be validated, and go back and get the response to all the way to Singapore, whatever the place that they were. Right? It will take a lot of time, and the latency, the delay, all that kind of stuff will be happening. Right? Sometimes application might be available, sometimes might not be available. Like okay, it's okay. That's okay. Let a couple of 30 seconds, 40 seconds delay, that's fine. That's fine, right? But even let's say there is a possibility that you can avoid that 30 seconds delay as well. Okay, why not? Let's try to choose it. Okay, that's the one use case. And the second use case, we'll get there. I'll be explaining very soon. The second use case, for some reasons, for example, there is a hurricane in Charlotte area, for example, and the data center is down. The data center is down, and they don't even know when they're gonna fix the power issues, all that kind of stuff. Like, okay, so what happens to this Wells Fargo application, right? So the application will be down. Let's say they take 24 hours. The application will be down in 24 hours. Okay, why can't they have multiple data centers? One is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Other one is maybe San Francisco. One in Houston, Texas, and one in Seattle, something like that. Okay, they can have it. What if they don't get any hurricane? Right here. So they need to manage all these data centers, right? They would want to manage, let's say if they are renting office space for those data centers, and they would have to manage that office space, like they would have to pay for that rent. They would have to buy all those physical servers, physical data centers, and they would have to take care of the power, all that kind of stuff, like a power consuming, even though they don't get business. If they're useful, then don't useful, but they're keeping them for just a disaster recovery purpose. Let's say something is happening somewhere else, and they would wanna they don't want to lose any data, and they don't want to lose any customers, because the application should be available by 24/7, right? If there is a hurricane and I cannot use my credit card, I need to use my credit card to buy stuff, right? What if the application is down and I can't access my credit card? What happens? Right? Okay, so they have a disaster recovery places, for example, and okay, they're maintaining this kind of stuff will be happening like once a year, maybe. Not even once a year, maybe once every 3 years, but they would want to manage all these disaster recovery places for all those 3 years, but even though they are not using, right? And that's expensive. So is there any alternative way? Why I cannot just just go for alternative way if there is an alternative way? Okay, nowadays there are plenty of technologies, basically cloud technologies, IBM Bluemax, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, and Oracle Cloud, and there are plenty of technologies available like cloud provider services, and Amazon AWS is one of them, basically. So now how this is related to AWS, Vishnu? So what you are trying to tell us? What is your plan? Like, okay, you got to be very specific, Vishnu. Okay, let's get in. So Amazon Web Services, what they will do, they build data centers across the globe. Okay, they built data centers across the globe. They have data centers Northern Virginia, Ohio, and they do have one in Oregon, and they do have one in Singapore, Mumbai, India, and Australia. They do have a Japan. They do have data centers everywhere across the globe. Okay, across the globe, they do have data centers everywhere in the world. They built data centers. Now, why they have data centers everywhere? So what is their business model? Now, hey, if you need infrastructure as a service, that means you need a place to host your application. You don't need to have any data center. You don't need to purchase any data center. You don't need to purchase any office space. You don't need to purchase like any physical boxes. You don't need to manage them all time. Okay. Instead, we will rent it to you. We do have our data centers everywhere across the globe. Let's say if you're a customer in Singapore, you don't have to wait. It doesn't have to wait, to get a response from all the way to North Carolina. Okay. And so how does that work? Like, okay, how does that work? You can explain us. Okay. So what we will do, you should take an account with us. You have a free account, you have an enterprise edition account, but free account, which is you guys have right now, doesn't include any survey, like any support. Basically, let's say you are trying to install some software on top of that virtual machine and you couldn't able to install. You cannot call AWS and you cannot ask for help because it's just an open source. It's not like a enterprise edition. Okay, if you want to support, like if you need a support, let's say if something goes wrong, I need a support, take an enterprise account, which is $30 per month, I guess. Pretty cheap, right? For us it's expensive, but companies it's just nothing. Okay, oh, that's it, $30 and you're done, and that's it. After that you're going to provide us infrastructure like a data centers and we are going to use it and we are going to terminate it. No. So that is the enterprise account. Then each service that you provision, each minute that you use, each hour that you use, we will charge. Okay, and let's say you have a disaster and you need disaster recovery in a specific region for 24 hours or for a month only. After 1 month, you will recover all your applications on the primary data center. So for after that 1 month, you don't need us anymore. Like, so what I can do, instead of buying a data center and maintaining the office space, all that kind of stuff for certain period of time, and what I would do, I would just rent that service for like a specific month. And once I'm done with my primary location, I can archive all my logs from there. I can get all my data and I can just, terminate my services over there. And if I don't use any services and I'm not paying anything, how does that sound? Is that sounds like a good plan or not? Are you guys with me? Hello? Can you guys say yes?
Yes, Vishnu.
Yeah, Vishnu.
Are you guys getting me?
Yes.
Okay. So they do provide infrastructure as a service. Basically, what they will do, they will provide infrastructure, and also they will provide software support as well. They do have a compute services, which is EC2, Lambda, all that kind of service, compute service. That means they do provide like a virtual machines, storage for S3, simple storage service. Okay, EC2 means elastic cloud computing. They do provide like some very good like a, database as well, DynamoDB, all that kind of stuff inside the AWS account. Okay, this is a generic way. Okay, now you guys have an idea like how this AWS works and what is the plan, like what is the business model of this AWS account. Uday, are you with me? Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Subhada, are you with me? Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Are you guys good with this business model, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we'll discuss. If you guys need time or if you guys need to understand something, stop me. Okay, but we'll discuss as well. So that is the business model. Now tell us, how does that work in a generic way, but technical way? What happens? What exactly happens when you take an account with them? Okay, so what you'll be given, and how I can integrate that portion of their network. Whatever they have data centers, right? They have a data center say across the globe. When you take an account with them, they will provide a portion of their network called a VPC. A portion of their network called a VPC. Okay. VPC means virtual private cloud. Cloud means it's not running on the sky actually. So cloud means it's not running on really cloud on the sky. So it's running on somebody's data center basically. So you will be accessing that without any, you're not connecting to any like a physical center. You don't go there, you don't insert your computer to access that one, right? Something like that. But cloud means it's not like something, okay, let's push to the sky and people can access, not like that. Okay. And yeah, so when you take an account, you'll be given a portion of their network called VPC. VPC is nothing but virtual private cloud. Okay, so you will have virtual private cloud, and you can create a number of sub networking. Why would I wanna have sub networking, Vishnu? Like, what is the purpose using? Why would I divide that network? Let's say, for example, you have some servers. They should directly talk to internet. When I say directly talk to internet, right? For example, you have web server, right? You have your web application, for example, wellsfargo.com, and you need to log in, right? That wellsfargo.com should talk to the internet, right? And then only it can get the values. Let's say I'm accessing wellsfargo.com from this computer, for example, and I'm accessing that application through internet, right? Am I right or wrong? Is it that this server directly talking to the internet? So from here, this computer, from the PC where I'm using, from this computer, I'm accessing this website. That means this server, which is hosting this application wellsfargo.com, is running to connecting to the internet, right? Directly. So some kind of servers like called web servers, they're directly connecting to the internet. They should have to have separate rules. Okay, you put the data, you get the data, you go and get the data, that kind of stuff. Some servers, for example, a database servers, they are really highly secured, and they don't need to talk to internet, right? Let's say, for example, you have a database server over here which stores your like a personal identification information, PII, or any kind of like orders, the purchase orders that you buy, or your credit card information, that kind of details. These servers should just talk to these specific servers to validate them and get the send them the response. That's it. It doesn't have to talk to any internet. For that kind of reasons, so what you can do, you can divide your VPC, that is a portion of network, into subnetworking. Okay, subnetworking. And the subnet which is available to talk to internet, the subnet itself doesn't talk to any internet, but I'll tell you, we'll get there. Okay, this one, particularly this one, will be called a public subnet, which is publicly available. Okay, the subnet which cannot talk to internet directly. Okay, remember that word, will be a private. It can access through a mediator, but we'll talk about that. But it cannot talk to internet directly, is a private subnet. 100% of companies, they should have at least one public subnet and one private subnet. Are you guys with me?
Yeah, Ashna.
Okay. Now, when we create an EC2 instance, right? And inside this subnet, there will be a specific service called a security group. Security group. Okay. Starts with SG, security group. This is the place where we are controlling the permissions, basically. What traffic should talk to what traffic. Okay. Should I allow the traffic from this subnet, or should I allow the traffic from internet? All that kind of permissions, we'll be discussing them very quick. Okay. And this is the place where you can control the inbound and outbound traffic rules, basically. Okay. And this is the place where we launch EC2 instances, which is compute service, the elastic cloud computing. Where do we launch instances? Actually, the instances will stay inside security group. If security group will allow to access that instance, okay, just it can get access. If security group doesn't allow you to access that instance, so you cannot. Okay, when you take an account with the AWS, you will be given VPC, and you can configure your own subnet, like a subnets, like a public, private. You can configure your security groups. You can configure your inbound, outbound traffic rules, and you can configure your storage. You can configure whatnot. You can control permissions using IAM, whatnot. You can configure everything. Do they monitor our traffic? That's a good question, right? Let's say, do they monitor like how many people have Wells Fargo accounts and how many people depositing money, like using these transactions, what they're buying, all that kind of stuff? Do they monitor them? I don't think so. They don't have access for that data, basically. So each time when you'll be given a VPC, you will have 100% control of it. They don't store the copy of your data. That's what they tell us. Okay, they don't store any copy of your data by default. Okay, but there will be an option that you can request a service that, okay, can you guys store a copy of the data, just in case if we lose any data, can we retrieve the data from you guys? Maybe possible. Things like that. We'll get there. That's a different topic. And any doubts about this VPC architecture, basically? So you will have a VPC, and you will have a subnets. You will have a security groups. Okay. So the subnet will be talking to the internet through route table. There is a route table. There is a service called route table. This is the place where we define the instance range. Okay. Instance IP starting from XYZ to instance IP starting from ABC to instance IP ending like a PQR should be in this route table. That means the instances inside from IPs from ABC to PQR can access the internet through internet gateway route table. This is the place where we define. Whereas the subnet, private subnet, right? They should be accessing through NAT gateways, network access translator. We will talk about that. What are the NAT gateways? What are the route tables? And all that kind of details. We'll be talking about them actually. Any questions till now? No questions? Are you guys with me?
Vishnu, can you repeat that VPC and subnet part, Vishnu?
Yeah. So what happens is when you take an account with AWS, right? You'll be given a portion of VPC. You can configure your own VPC as well. Okay. You can configure your own VPC, but by default, you'll be given a VPC called virtual private network. Okay. So that virtual private network will be divided into at least 2 subnetworking. Why would I wanna have a subnetworking? Right? Because some servers, they might have to talk to the internet directly. For example, user interface applications, right? What is user interface application? This one, you see that this web application might need to talk to internet directly, right? I'm accessing this wellsfargo.com from my computer. That means I have connected to internet and I'm accessing this application. The server which is hosting this wellsfargo.com, right, should have access. When we access an application through internet, that can be, you see that HTTPS or HTTP traffic. Okay, this is publicly available. So for that kind of servers should be deployed into the public subnet. If you put everything in one place, for example, your database servers, your application server, everything in one place, which is not secure. That is why 100% of companies, they do manage at least 2 subnetworking. In the whole networking, whole VPC, they do have at least 2 subnets, one for public subnet and one is a private subnet. So the public subnet will get access through internet, access to internet directly by using route tables. There is a service called route table. This is the place where we define what servers should talk to internet. What servers, like what the IP range. The IP range of these servers only can talk to internet. The IP range of these servers cannot talk to internet. Okay. And that is the place where we define the route table. And inside this public subnet and private subnet also, you will have a security group. But each security group will have a different rules. Okay. These rules, companies can configure their rules. For example, one application, they have hosted in a specific port and it should talk to the other application through this port, XYZ port, something like that. We will be discussing those ports as well. Ports and IP cider range and all that kind of stuff. For now, we'll just discussing about the Amazon AWS fundamentals. And any questions till VPC, subnet, security group? No questions? Okay, let's go ahead and see like what exactly happens, right? Let's go ahead and let's try to create one EC2 instance, and you guys will see what exactly happening. You see that this Northern Virginia, now I'm connected to Northern Virginia data center. Okay, I can switch any data center that I want. Do I have a data center over there? No. Right? This is the flexibility. I can switch, I can host, I can deploy anywhere in the world that I want. You see that? These many data centers are available. Right now, I'm in Northern Virginia data center. Okay? That is the data center, which is nothing but region. Those people call region. Okay, this is the EC2 Elastic Cloud Computing. This is the place like where you can create virtual machines. These are the virtual machines basically. Okay, now let's go ahead and create one virtual machine, and I can explain. Can you guys see this right side account attributes? This is the default VPC that I was given when I took account with this AWS. Okay, but let me explain in a better way. Let's go ahead and launch an instance. Instance is nothing but I'm going to create a virtual computer, right? A computer should have operating system, right? And operating system can be anything. It can be Linux or it can be Windows. Even in Linux, there are plenty of flavors of Linux. It can be Amazon Linux is one of the flavors, or it can be Mac OS, right? And it can be Red Hat Enterprise Linux, right? It can be SUSE Linux. It can be Ubuntu, operating system that I'm talking about, okay? Or it can be a Windows server as well. So you have a flexibility to choose your operating system. You're not buying any operating system. Okay, let's say I'm hosting 1,000 servers. For example, I'm going to need 100 servers. So should I buy operating system like okay, should I have maybe contract with Microsoft so that they can provide their operating system like a Windows 11 for those 100 servers? I don't have to, right? I can, okay, even if I do contract with them and after 1 month, I don't like it and I want to switch it, but you will be signing for a year. And after 1 year, you would want to migrate all your servers to a different operating system, which can be time-taking process and which can be like what you call, which can be, you are going to need a resources like a migration, that kind of stuff. It's going to be very expensive. You guys know, engineers, how expensive they are in the States, actually, especially. So you will have a flexibility that you can choose your own operating system. If you don't like this one, go ahead and provision one more instance with a different operating system and deploy your code, test it. If that works well, just come here and terminate this old one and you're good. How simple is that, right? And let's go ahead and select an operating system. Like we discussed earlier, these are the instance sizes basically. Instance types, nothing but they just provide these naming conventions for their size. You see that one CPU, memory in like a 1 GB, 0.5 GB memory, 4 GB memory. They just divided them so that they can call pretty easy. Okay. This is the T2.micro is a free tier eligible, which is our free tier account. And let's go ahead and choose that account. Okay. Choose that instance type. Okay. Let's go ahead and configure details. How many number of virtual machines, virtual computers that I want? Just one is fine. You see that what is the network for this virtual computer? Where you are launching this computer, like where you are provisioning this computer in this specific network. Is it that network? VPC, virtual private cloud. This is the place where I'm going to provision this server basically. Okay, and no preference, right? That means, let's say I don't have any specific preference. I do have you see that 1 2 3 4 5 6 subnets available. Each availability zone, you see that yes is to 1B, 1E, 1F, 1D, 1A, 1C. You see that each availability zone has their own subnet. If I don't choose one subnet, if I don't pick one, and it's gonna pick one, it's gonna pick a subnet, and it's gonna launch the instance inside that subnet basically. But in a real time, in a reality, in the companies, it doesn't work that way. They will be specifically providing their subnets and VPCs and security groups as well. Okay, and I can go ahead and just leave like that. Okay, then the IAM roles and the placement group, we'll be discussing about this IAM role. Forget about all these details. For example, let's say you have any database group or web server group, or did you create any placement group? You want to add the server to a specific group or something like that. But don't worry about all those details. If you look at this IAM role, like what kind of permissions, that who is going to access this server or something like that. We'll have a session about IAM. We'll be discussing about that IAM as well. Okay, and those are the main things actually. This user data, you can run like a user data, like a post provisioning step, and we'll be discussing all those details. For now, let's stick with the fundamentals actually. Okay, next, go ahead and add storage. You see that? So the by default root volume, this is the volume, EBS volume, root volume is 8 GB. That means that's a hard disk. You can call it as a hard disk if you want. 8 GB is not enough for me. You can increase it like 50 GB. You don't have to buy a predefined computer. It's a flexible, elastic. You can take whatever, like you can configure whatever computer that you want on the fly. Okay, let's leave.
So, Vishnu, what will be the maximum GB you can?
What will be the, what is that maximum?
Maximum GB.
GB?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, for example, there is no limit with that,
Okay.
basically. So
Okay.
let's say I have 100 GB, right? Max for this volume, right? That if I feel like I cannot have that 100 GB is not sufficient, I can go ahead and add one more EBS volume, and I can call it as one more 100 GB.
Okay.
I can add any number of EBS volumes that I want, basically.
Okay.
Okay. And let's say even there is a limit, right, Madhavi? I can go ahead and launch one more server, and I can add that server to the same application group.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
Yeah. So there is basically, so you are not predefining something. Okay, what happens if something is going to happen? Let's say you are anticipating 1,000 customers. You are gonna let's say, for example, you are hosting a small restaurant business, and you are expecting it's a Friday evening, and you are expecting like 500 people are gonna order food, something like that. Okay, let's launch 3 servers, and that should be good. But you've got some unexpected traffic, maybe 700 people order food, and if you feel like, okay, this is not enough, and what I want to do, like I'm gonna need one more server very quick, like just like that. It's pretty simple. You can go ahead and add one more instance, and you can even request an instance on the fly using auto scaling group. We'll have a session in this class, basically in this session.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the the service automatically itself scale up and scale down instances based on the traffic.
Okay.
Okay, so I can go ahead and leave like 8 for now, and let's say I have 100 servers, right? And I would wanna define them, like I would wanna okay, this server belongs to this specific application, this server belongs to this specific environment, this server belongs to this specific people. How I can define that? It simply go ahead and add tags. Okay, I'm gonna give name Wells Fargo, something like user. That means user application, user login application, or something like that. Okay, they will provide all these values. It's not like you have to decide. No. So the naming conventions, the whole team will sit together. They will decide, okay, these are the names that we are going to use. These are the naming types that we are going to use. We would have to have a underscore or hyphen or things like that. Okay, that is the added tags. You can add up to 50 tags. These tags will help you to filter your systems. I'm going to show you in a minute. Next, you see that we defined VPC. We did not define any subnet, but it's going to pick auto subnet, whatever the subnet is available, right? The next main thing is security group. You see that I'm not defining any security group, but in a real time, it doesn't work that way. The companies have their own security groups. This is the place where exactly you're controlling the inbound and outbound traffic rules, so that nobody can access the system, basically. For example, hackers, if they access your system and if they install some malware software and they get all your customers' accounts, what you're gonna do? And they will like, okay, we need $5 billion so that we don't expose your data, or we don't transfer your transactions and things like that. So companies have their own security groups. Basically, they select existing security group or they provide the security group. You see that? Okay, let's go ahead and pick any one of the security group is fine, because I don't have any sensitive information on the server, so that's fine. You see that SSH type. What does that mean, Vishnu? You see that when you select this security group and it says something SSH type and port 22 and a source, that means this security group, that means the instance inside that security group will only allow traffic through SSH. You cannot access that system through HTTP, and we'll see in a minute what does that mean. Okay, next, go ahead and review and launch. Let's go ahead and just launch. And okay, who is launching the system? Who can have this key pair so that they can access the system? Okay, I have this key pair. I can choose this key pair and I can go ahead and launch. Okay, the instance ID will start with the I. Okay, security group will start with SG. EBS volume will start with EBS. Snapshot will start with the snap. And AMI will start with the AMI. Okay, that's pretty simple. And each green, you see that each green have a link. You can click on that link, it will navigate directly, it will take you to that dashboard, basically. And then let's go ahead and unselect that one. If I want to filter something like that, right? Wells Fargo, right? Something like this. You see that? You can use those filters for tags. You see that? Even if it matches like a little bit, that's okay. It can get you all the available servers with that. So you're basically, what exactly you're doing is you are defining your, okay, this server belongs to this server belongs to that, something like that. Okay, and let's go ahead and select this server, and let's go to description, and let's try to access this server through internet, this computer through internet. Copy public IP, right? and go ahead and http :// command v enter. Let's see what happens. I don't think I can access this system because the security group where the server sitting in is not allowing that HTTP traffic. It is only allowing only SSH traffic, and we'll see what that SSH traffic means. Okay. And I can go ahead and connect this system. You see that this SSH connection, the establishing this SSH connection. Let's go ahead and try to access the system through SSH. Okay. Let me go there. Let me try to say yes. Now you see that I'm in a different computer. I have access to this system. So what I will do, I'll just install Apache. Okay. That is the problem. I'll just install Apache and I'll try to access the system through internet, and let's see what happens. How I can access the system through internet. Okay. And there is a specific configuration file called, let me go ahead and log in as a root user, where www.html, this is the place where you will have to deploy your HTML files. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just simply HTML code to register form, whatever form. Okay. Just intentions are just to see how this is going to work. Okay. And let's go ahead and this is the code, right? For example, and I can go ahead and copy this code because I'm not a front-end HTML developer. Okay, but even if I had to, I don't think that's going to be a problem for me. Index.html, there should be a file called index.html. Okay, just paste it. And I try to access this through internet, and let's see what happens. Okay, let's go here and try to verify. No, this site can't be reached. No, you don't have access. Vishnu, what you're doing? Okay, let's navigate. This instance is sitting in a specific security group, this security group, right? You see that? This instance metadata says, okay, this instance belongs to this security group. Let's go to the security group. Okay. And you see that in the inbound rules, let's go to inbound rules. You see that this security group is only allowing traffic through SSH, only SSH. That is the reason I was able to connect to the system through this SSH, basically, right? Now let's go ahead and change that to allow traffic to everything for a minute. Okay. I'm going to add a rule. Okay. Just for now, just go ahead and add all traffic. And the source, I'm not controlling any specific computer. Let's go ahead and add a traffic. You can access this system from anywhere. Let's go ahead and update that rule. Okay. And let's go ahead and refresh it. Okay. HTTP. Okay, it's still not working. Okay, let's go ahead and check the inbound rules. Okay, that's fine. And let's go to that issue to dashboard again. Running instance is 0. Why the running instance is 0? Okay, let's go ahead and copy this public DNS instead of the instance actually. HTTP colon public DNS. Okay. Can someone tell me what could be the reason actually? This is the security group the instance belongs to. Okay. And this is allowing all ports, all traffic, which is fine, and a port 22 TCP, which is fine. Then what is the problem? HTTP internet connection if you are using proxy server. Okay. Can you guys access this? Use HTTP colon // the same way. Can you guys access this computer? And let's see what happens. So what I will do, I can go ahead and stop and restart this service. And let's see what happens. You guys cannot access it because I'm stopping the server.
Maybe it's because of the permissions, Vishnu, IAM permissions.
No, actually, so it won't, it will be related to, basically it will be related to security group rules only basically. Okay, that is the reason. IAM permissions won't who can have access to this computer. For example, let's say your Lambda should need your EC2 permissions so that Lambda could do some operations on EC2, or your S3 bucket should have your EC2 permission so that your EC2 instance can upload a file to S3. That kind of permissions will controlled by IAM, but these ports what port it's gonna have access, or internet, HTTP, HTTPS, all that kind of stuff through security group only, but we will see. Let me go ahead and start this instance. I don't know. You see that my account has like an older dashboard. I should upgrade my AWS account basically. Okay, it's coming up, and let's see. And let's go ahead and try HTTP. It's not 100% ready state. Still coming up. You see that status checks, it should be 2x2 status checks basically. The status checks should be 2x2, then only instance will be available 100%. So let's see. Any questions till now from anybody?
Vishnu, I have one small doubt here.